Over the years, the Mastered Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Grade 4 that Goku and Gohan first demonstrated in the Cell games is debated to be stronger than the initial Super Saiyan transformation that Goku and the others showcased before the Cell games. Not in terms of the Cell Saga Goku Gohan being stronger than previous arcs as a whole, I'm talking about the actual transformation multiplier. This form is also known as Full Power Super Saiyan. Let's break down why it's seen as stronger, but also why it's not, along with what the form actually is when comparing it straight up to the power multipliers of the other Super Saiyan grades. Some fans label Super Saiyan Grade 4 as a stronger multiplier than even Grade 2 and Grade 3 that Vegeta and Trunks made famous, but this can actually be bait and trick some people into thinking it's the form itself being a stronger multiplier of power, when in fact, Goku had a much stronger base level after the Time Chamber training, which made his Super Saiyan form look far greater than Vegeta and Trunks' previous fights. But it's important to consider how strong Goku's raw power could actually go if he bulked up his muscles, because he's still capable of doing that, even if he has Grade 4. He just chose not to go down that path because he wanted to fight with efficiency rather than brute power alone. The entire message behind their training and the battle with Trunks vs Cell, but in training that way, he got stronger overall anyway. It's all to do with that training type. Despite Grade 4 being a different level of form to Super Saiyan Grade 1, it's still Super Saiyan 1's power without any negative drawbacks, no emotional drawback, minimal to no power drain except for what Goku and Gohan use in battle itself. There's arguments that Full Power Super Saiyan is a 500 to 1000 times multiplier from base form based on what El Manga Legendario says, a guide published by Bird Studios before being translated to Spanish. But there's also other official material, like the other guide published by Bird Studios, the Super Exciting Guide, that doesn't support it, along with other material and also the core story itself. But the tricky situation we as fans are in is that we have multiple materials to pull from, and because there's so much out there, most official and often contradicted, it's a case of choosing red or blue. I'm not saying other guides are wrong, I'm saying I choose other guides to support the core material, and if you think different in this, that's cool, no biggie. So for the initial Super Saiyan transformation, things are self-explanatory. Several media, Super Exciting Guide, the Daizenshu, just the initial Super Saiyan transformation is a 50 times multiplier onto a Saiyan's base form power, which is pretty common knowledge. Every other form is given in secondary supporting material like guidebooks or even third material like pamphlets. The actual Dragon Ball story never hints at any set increase for Super Saiyan 2, 3 or anything. Characters just get shocked by the increase in power and that's it. So that's something to consider here. With the second grade, it's a bit ambiguous as to its multiplier from the initial Super Saiyan form. It is stated in the Daizenshu that Super Saiyan Grade 2 increases both user speed and power, unlike third grade. Now, if we do go with the Super Exciting Guide, Grade 2 is not going to be double or triple Super Saiyan 1 because it said Super Saiyan 2 is 2 times Super Saiyan 1. Yes, that could mean either Grade 1 or Grade 4, and you'll see why in a bit when we look at the core story of Dragon Ball without the guides to sidetrack us, that it doesn't matter if it's Grade 1 or Grade 4. But either way, Grade 2 falls roughly between 10 to 50% stronger than Super Saiyan Grade 1. It doesn't matter if it's 10% stronger than regular Super Saiyan because the true difference maker is Vegeta's new base form power. Post Hyperbolic Time Chamber, that's what really closes the gap on Cell. Some people forget the raw power increase the fighters get without even powering up, meaning Vegeta's regular Super Saiyan form is insanely stronger post Time Chamber than the version that fought Android 18, and could probably have measured up to semi-perfect Cell in Grade 1. 10% stronger in all of Dragon Ball is a game changer, especially when power levels were an official guide for battle. A 10% higher power level pretty much guaranteed you victory unless you made a mistake. Now interestingly, El Manga Legendario states the Super Saiyan 3rd grade offers an increase in raw power 10 times from the prior stage or second grade, meaning they are lowballing it as 500 times base form at the very least, which basically goes against the Super Exciting Guide of Super Saiyan 2 being 100 times base form, and even Super Saiyan 3 being 400 times base form. You'll soon see why Grade 3 being a lowball 500 times base form is ridiculous based on what occurs in the actual story itself. Like I said, you can apply these numbers from El Manga if you want to, but you're gonna hit some roadblocks, a big one being the narrative that really doesn't care about numbers. Once again, the Super Exciting Guide is also another official guidebook by Shueisha, but I recommend always sticking to the core story first before applying any other material for debates. Weighing everything up is also important here, and if I've missed anything, leave me a comment supporting either side on if you think Super Saiyan Grade 4 is still 50 times or more. Now, the Super Exciting Guide is also not bulletproof, but I feel the numbers work better for the core story, and there's also an argument I once made that Super Saiyan Grade 1 is way higher than 50 times because of the fact when Goku first turned Super Saiyan against Frieza, he was unable to stand and nearly exhausted in base form after using the Spirit Bomb, so 50 times on top of that weakened base would have never reached 50% freezer in numbers unless Super Saiyan had a stronger multiplier altogether. But again, there's counters to that saying a rage boost healed Goku's ki, so it comes down to theory versus theory, which is why guides are there to support if needed. Plus, as I said, it was officially said Super Saiyan is a 50 times boost, so that's my theory out the window, even if it makes sense. Other official material from the Trunks TV special Animanga 1993 tells us about the grades themselves and states the following about Mastered Super Saiyan: a form where they remain Super Saiyan on a regular basis without consciously raising their ki. Grade 1 already struck a balance between factors such as power and energy consumption. Grade 4 takes that and removes Grade 1's trademark sense of mild agitation. The result is a natural form of Super Saiyan without the violent personality. Without even trying to confuse yourselves, that's basically saying Grade 4 is Grade 1, but more natural. He's still in Super Saiyan, but simply stops suppressing himself in the form during combat. This is also further backed up in the official story when Vegeta educates Trunks about Goku simply getting used to this normal Super Saiyan form and the strain not being heavy when he increases ki. This was in response to Trunks simply assuming Goku's going to transform even stronger against Cell, which was completely missing the point of what Goku was doing. When Goku powered up halfway for Korin, he simply stayed in the same form he was in. In the Cell games, he just unleashed the rest of that ki. His hair even remains the same, no more definition from the art style of Grade 1 in this very arc. Unlike Grade 2 and 3 emphasize more defined hair slightly each time to emphasize a stronger form multiplier. Even Goku's hair did this in the time chamber when demonstrating Grade 2 and 3. That's what happens to Saiyans here with stronger grade multipliers, where Grade 5, aka Super Saiyan 2, is the most defined and sharpest look for the hair from the energy and power-ups. So Grade 4, still the same old Super Saiyan 1 look. That's a big visual clue. If it was a stronger multiplier than Grade 2 or 3, then the hair definition should be very sharp, looking in the middle between Grade 3 and Grade 5, but it's not. They never acknowledge Goku as transforming at all, they just acknowledge his power-up moments and the state he's in post-leaving Time Chamber. It's a constant form for him and Gohan, and even in the Time Chamber he said, we're going to get used to staying in this Grade 1 form all the time. Grade 4 is just Grade 1 without disadvantages by concept. I suppose it's like having a lamb shank, and you cut off a lot of the fat trimmings so you eat mostly protein. My point being, it's still lamb, it's not transformed into chicken. The exceptions are obviously Grade 2 and 3, where the Saiyan deliberately cashes in all their points for strength and speed at the cost of stamina in Grade 2, or in Grade 3 for more strength at the cost of speed and more stamina. Again, they are still Super Saiyan 1, but a Super Saiyan 1 with different statistics, different mutations of simply Super Saiyan. Even Toriyama called Super Saiyan 2 and 3 powered up variations of Super Saiyan, and that Saiyans can train to use all their power in Super Saiyan without needing to go Super Saiyan 2 or 3. Which brings me to Super Saiyan 2 just very quickly. It's Goku's naming convention. In the Cell games, at the time it debuted, it wasn't called Super Saiyan 2. It's actually Super Saiyan 5th grade, which looks more intense with the lightning. But the meme about it looking just like Super Saiyan 1 and not much difference to the untrained eye still holds some weight in actual sense, because it really doesn't look that much different apart from more defined hair and of course lightning. It's still spiky blonde hair from base form black hair. Even though it's a new transformation, it's still Super Saiyan. It's more like sub-levels of the same form, not an entirely new transformation like if Goku were to go Super Saiyan God or the Uzaru pathways or Ultra Instinct. I suppose Super Saiyan 3 could technically be called Super Saiyan Grade 6, seeing as it's a further mutation of Super Saiyan Grade 5. However, it should be noted that some often associate a new multiplier to Mastered Super Saiyan because of the fact Super Saiyan Grade 2 and 3 have higher power multipliers than Grade 1, and so does Grade 5 aka Super Saiyan 2, which would make sense to some as to why not just give a new number to Super Saiyan Grade 4 to follow suit of these sub-levels of Super Saiyan. Well, the problem there is that the grades multiply for different reasons each time. Grade 2 and 3 are simply raw increases in power level of the Super Saiyan form, not overall combat efficiency of Super Saiyan. Most characters, including Cell, can just buff up as well for raw power in sacrifice for their efficiency. It's simply key manipulation to higher levels at the cost of stamina, but Grade 5 is way more effective at this. It's an increase in power level, but also speed and overall combat efficiency, stamina. They're all in good condition if you can pull this form off. So Grade 4 doesn't have to be forced to have a new multiplier just for it to look nice and neat with the rest of the grades. We already know officially what Grade 4 is, as stated previously from lore itself in the story. Making Mastered Super Saiyan, based on what I've read, still a 50 times multiplier, but Goku's maximum strength after the time chamber is just way more than Trunks and Vegeta's at that point of the Cell games, which would make his base form naturally stronger after the type of training he did. For some reason, mastering Super Saiyan the way he did with Gohan as a new base form made their regular base form shoot up in higher levels, seeing as they don't even feel Super Saiyan when at rest. I'm obviously comparing Goku's base form to the Saiyans at the start of the Cell games because there's arguments to be made about Vegeta's strength after Trunks dies. The boost he has really makes Super Perfect Cell brace for impact, which is actually 3 levels of power higher than the Cell that fought Goku previously. Remember, Cell powered up against Gohan, then proceeded to enhance his strength again in his buff form, and finally Super Perfect Cell. So you could argue if Goku blasted Super Perfect Cell, Cell might not have to brace. And Vegeta received a rage boost of power from the death of Trunks, which would make his base stronger post-battle. Dragon Ball is crazy with power-ups and base powers fluctuate all the time, and this is no exception. But either way, Grade 4 is not stronger than Grade 1 by concept of raw power increase from most of these official sources. Yes, it's stronger in a sense that if I could bench 150 kilograms 3 times, and you could bench it 10 times for 3 sets, we both lifted the same level, but you were stronger overall because you could lift it more efficiently and could endure a longer session with that same weight. It's important to consider how much stamina affects both power in real life and Dragon Ball. Goku was able to fight at a higher threshold for much longer in the fight, and that's such a game changer. For example, the first time we had wind of infinite stamina against 18, she stated that she was going full power midway through their battle, and when she did, caught Vegeta by surprise, to which he responded with attacks of his own and even held his own for a few minutes, until it was narratively shoved in our face that Vegeta's stamina is what keeps dropping whilst 18 remains the same, and it was at that point that Vegeta couldn't hold his own in power anymore. That's why stamina is important, because imagine a fight where Vegeta remained at 100% power the whole fight against Android 18. Even with 18 being stronger in raw power, the fight would indeed have lasted way longer and caused him more trouble due to Vegeta's infinite stamina, hypothetically. Which goes to show how important staying at a higher threshold of power and stamina is with Mastered Super Saiyan. It's important because you could bulk up your power massively, miss a few hits, then your power and stamina start dipping below your regular form because you've overexerted. Conditioning scholars, that's the message. Stay at your maximum for longer. It doesn't matter if someone sprints faster than you one time. If you do 10 in a row and you've outdone them on the following 9 because their stamina is so bad, then you're the strongest sprinter overall for the whole contest. Like I said, Goku and Gohan could bulk up their muscles in Grade 2 or 3 for extra power if they wanted to, but only in comparison to Grade 4 and Grade 1. When it comes to Grade 5, aka Super Saiyan 2, that's a roadblock. The Trunks TV anime comic already dubs Grade 5 as the strongest form. Combining that with a picture from the supplemental Daizenshu, the picture from the Super Exciting Guide, along with Herm's 98 translations, it would pretty much confirm that Grade 3 is most likely less than 100 times base form. Unlike Super Saiyan 2's, a hypothetical buff Gohan in the Cell games would not be the same power as future Trunks vs Cell. We need to remember that. He would be much stronger. I guess you could say Super Saiyan Grade 1 is 50 times, Grade 2 is about 70 times base form, Grade 3 approximately 90 times base form with speed problems, but Grade 5 is 100 times base form with no speed problems. In conclusion, Super Saiyan Grade 4 is still likely 50 times base form, but it's also able to be 500 to 1000 times depending on what sources you use. The great thing about Dragon Ball is that it's the most inconsistent, nonsensical franchise that ever has existed, which is why we all continue to argue with our cherry-picked sources, just like Buhan vs Kid Buu. Thank you for watching, until we meet again.